my music-loving friends. Today, we're going to make a little picture to help you think about your note reading. Now, I don't know how many videos you have done of mine already, but I like to fold my paper to make everything very organized, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. When the paper's like this, we call this landscape orientation. You don't have to remember that, but when you see it like this and not like this, it's important that you put your paper the same way. Let's start by folding it in half this way. So we go this way, we make sure that those corners line up really nicely. And then once they line up, I'm pinching it to hold it tight so it doesn't go all over the place. And then I start my fold like so. And then once my fold is kind of how I want it, then I grab the nearest utensil and I smash it. I happen to have my scissors handy. You can use your fingernail to smash that fold. I don't want to ruin my manicure, so I'm just using the handle of my scissors to make a nice tight crease there. Okay, now we want to fold it in thirds from here. And the best way to fold a paper in thirds is to start your fold, but don't smash it yet. And ask yourself, does this look about the same width as this? From here to here should look about the same as from here to here, and it doesn't need to be perfect. So just see if it looks about the same, and when you're happy with this spacing, then you do your fold. And of course, you smash it. All right, so now it looks like this, and we want to fold this over again like so, but I actually find it easier if I go back like this. So I'm going back like this. I'm making sure my corners don't get all wild and unruly. And then once I'm confident that everything's lined up, make sure on the other side that everything's lined up. And then I pinch it and I hold it down to the table and I smash that fold. There it is. And then I crease it with my scissors. And you can see mine is not perfect, but that doesn't matter. We're just making a drawing and using this to help us be a little bit more orderly about that. So now I'm running my finger along the back of those folds so that the paper will lie flat again. I'm opening it all the way up. And now what I have is this piece of paper that has 6 columns on it that are going to help me keep my drawing very neat and tidy. We need to do one more fold. So my paper is landscape again, and I'm going to fold top to bottom like so. And I'm lining up my corners again very neatly. And then I'm pressing that fold and making a good hard crease. So what do I have here? I have a piece of paper with a bunch of lines on it to help me draw a really nice picture. So we're going to be drawing a note reading house today. Now, if you've done any amount of note reading, you know that we draw our notes on something called a staff, and that has 5 lines in it. And we're going to draw those in first so that we have plenty of room for our notes that we put in eventually, and then we'll build a house around it. So you have this middle line right here, and you're going to draw one line that goes all the way across that. So starting over here, it doesn't need to be perfect. If you really like your lines to be perfect, you need a ruler for that. But as you can see, I'm just following that line. I'm not going quite to the edge of the page because I'm trying not to get ink on my background here. All right, now I said the staff has 5 lines. And so to keep our spacing relatively even, we're going to use a finger space. So I stick my finger here and make a little mark. I see where that mark is, and then I'm going to draw a line that kind of goes along that. I'm making it as straight as I can, but I'm not using a ruler. Again, a craft or a drawing doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful, does it? I'm going to make another finger space because I need 5 lines. I've only got a few so far here. So now I'm going to draw a line along there. So I have 3 lines now, but as you know, we need 5, and we're going to put the other 2 on top. So find a finger space, make a little mark, draw your line. 1 more line to go, finger space, little mark, and your line. So now you have this beautiful staff. I bet yours looks so good. Okay, now it's time to build our house. What does a house need? Obviously it needs some walls, doesn't it? So you have these other fold lines And I am most interested in this one right here, right now. So that you don't need to fold yours, I'm just showing you where mine is in the video here. But this little fold line over here is where we're gonna put the first wall of our house. So I'm starting on the bottom line of the staff, and I'm gonna draw that wall so that it goes a little bit above the staff, like that. And then on the other end of the staff, I'm gonna draw another wall. It doesn't matter if you have some staff lines hanging over the end, that's okay. So that wall needs to go just as high as the other one. And then it's time to put a roof on your house. So that roof needs to start in the middle. And again, you don't need to fold yours. I'm just showing you where the fold line is. Right in the middle, you have a line. And from that middle line, you're going to start your roof up high and you're going to come down low. So it goes over the wall of your house. And then we're going to make one on the other side that looks the same. Now we're starting to get somewhere. All right, my cello playing friends, we are going to make this house look a whole lot nicer and more colorful now. So I don't know any house that has no trees or bushes or landscaping of any kind. Landscaping is all of the plants that you put around the house. You don't need to do this fold that I'm doing. I'm just doing it to show you where we're going to put a little bush for your house. And that bush is actually going to be a bass clef. I'm going to draw it with green pen one time so you can see what it looks like. And when I'm doing it with green pen, I don't want you to copy me yet. I want you just to watch how I do it. And then I'll go back over it with black pen and you can copy it while I'm doing that. So your bass clef looks like this. There's a little circle here. It's not all the way on the edge because I need a room to make almost like a little spiral. I start my spiral on the side of the circle and I go around. I spiral up to the top. I know my hand's kind of in the way, but I promise I'll move in a second. And then it comes down like so. So it's around the second line, then whoosh, around to the bottom. And then there are these two little dots here and here, and that is a bass clef. So now it's time for you to do it with me. So I have my black pen. You can do it in whatever color you like. I said it's kind of like our bush. So if you want to do it in green, you can do that. Or if you prefer black, that is fine. Whatever you like. All right, so draw that little circle around the second line from the top. Not the top line, but the second one. Then start a little spiral that comes out from that circle, goes around, touches the top line, and then comes down like so. Okay, my line's a little crooked, that's fine. All right, and then we have two little dots over here. And what does a bass clef mean? It means that you play a low sounding instrument. So that would be cello or bass or tuba or the left hand on piano. Okay, so now we have all of these other little fold lines, and you don't need to fold your paper. I'm just showing you where mine are because I know on the video, sometimes the fold lines don't show the way that I wish they would. So in this column, we're gonna put notes of the C string, and then we have a column here where it'll be notes of the G string and so on. So make sure you keep each string contained to one column to make everything very neat. All right, first, we're gonna draw some extra lines for the notes of the C string. It's so low sounding that we have to add lines to the staff to make space for those notes. Those are called ledger lines, if you like to know that kind of thing. You don't have to memorize that yet. You'll learn that across the course of your cello playing life. So we're gonna draw 3 extra lines, 1, 2, 3. They're not gonna touch each other, but we're leaving space for a 4th note. So it should look like this, 1, 2, 3. And then there's a little space because I'll have a note there. Now this first one, we actually need a second line because the C string is so low that we need an extra line to fit it. All right, so I'm done with my black pen, so now I'm gonna go with green. So the C string is, we're gonna draw a circle that goes around that very bottom line that we just drew. Okay, and let's label that. And then we're gonna come back to that in just a moment. The next note, if you were to add your finger to the string, would be here. Not not on the line, not with the line going through, but kind of dangling off the bottom of it. If you add the next finger to the string, then we do a circle around that other line that we drew. And I'm going to make my line a little bit longer so that you can see really clearly how that should look. It kind of looks like the planet Saturn with rings going around it. And then finally, if you add the next finger, then that note sits right on the bottom of the staff like that. So it's touching the bottom line, but it's not around the bottom line. Okay, so what room of the house makes sense for the C string? We are going to label that as your cousin's craft room. It's in the cellar, which also starts with C, so we're going to write a few things here. So this is your cousin's craft room. Cousin is C-O-U-S-I-N, apostrophe S, you need the apostrophe. Craft room. And remember, that's in the cellar. The cellar is underground. Look how low those notes are. That's why we're putting them underground here. All right, so now we move on to the G string. And the G sits on the very bottom line of the staff. So I'm staying in this little column that's right, you don't have to fold yours, I'm just showing you right in this column right here. Okay, and the G is a circle around the very bottom line of the staff, and then we're going to label that with a G. Okay, if you add a finger to the string, the note has to go up on the staff, so that note takes up this space here, not on the lines, but in the space. Okay, the next note goes on the line here, so that would be no fingers, one finger, third finger, if you're a beginner. All right, and then finally your fourth finger goes in the next space up. Note reading is very orderly. If it looks low, it sounds low. As it goes up higher on the staff, it sounds higher. So you can tell if you're supposed to be on the C string because they're down here in the cellar part of the staff. On the G string, you're on the first floor of the house. Well, what is on the first floor of the house? We have a lot of people living in this house. In this house, we have Grandpa. And, you know, my grandpa lived to be almost 101, and he was very active his whole life, and he liked to paint. So we're going to call this Grandpa's Painting Studio. So Grandpa is G-R-A-N-D-P-A, and we need that apostrophe S. Grandpa's Painting, P-A-I-N-T-I-N-G, Studio, S-T-U-D-I-O. Okay, so we've got the cellar. It's underground. The notes are underground. We've got Grandpa's Painting Studio on the first floor of the house. So now we must be going to the D string. So I'm switching colors. The D sits right on that middle line of the staff. So we're going to draw a circle that goes around that middle line, just like that. And we're going to label it with a D. All right, so if we add fingers to the string, I bet you know what happens. The note goes up to the next space. We're using all lines and spaces, so this note sits in the space, not with a line going through it. So finger would go right here with the line going through it, and finally all the way in that top space. What is on the second floor of our house? It's Dad's office. He can get some peace and quiet there and do some work. So Dad's, D-A-D apostrophe S, office, O-F-F-I-C-E. All right, we have one more string left, don't we? And that string is the A string, and your A string is right around the top line of the staff. If you want to play first finger, no problem. We just put this right on top of the staff, but you can see we are going to need some more lines. So I'm going back to my black pen for a moment. And I'm going to add 2 additional lines, just like I did here at the bottom, but they're going to be on top over here. So I'm going to draw 1, 2. So we have A string, first finger. So third finger goes around that extra line that we just drew. And then fourth finger sits right on top of that extra line. So I said this is the A string. What is up in the top of the house? It's an attic. A-T-T-I-C, but it's specifically for Auntie's Sewing Room. Auntie, A-U-N-T-I-E apostrophe S, sewing, S-E-W-I-N-G, room, R-O-O-M. Okay, so you see what I mean? This is very orderly, isn't it? You got the cellar with your cousin's craft room way underground. You got Grandpa's painting studio on the first floor of the house. You've got Dad's office in the second story, and the attic for Auntie's sewing room way at the top with some additional lines as necessary. Speaking of which, when you are a very capable cello player, you're going to play some other notes that require even more lines than are here. So what we're going to do to represent that for now is we're going to draw a little chimney, and then we're just going to put some smoke coming out of it, like the extra notes you'll play when you have mastered playing the cello. So there you go. You can use this to remember where each string's notes sit on the staff. And you can get more in depth by watching some other videos on my site. But hopefully you enjoyed making this drawing. Thank you for drawing with me.